I was getting ready to upload my videos because I always like to upload them a day in advance, to have them set to be scheduled to upload onto the platform for public viewing. And I came across this article right here about this guy right here whose name is Kenny Zhu, spelled XU. And he just made a very blasphemous statement. And the statements got even more blasphemous as he continued to talk. And basically, he was talking about critical race theory. Now, before I go any further, remember how I was telling you how in the state of Illinois, they are the first state to mandate Asian American history into their curriculum. And I'm sure there's going to be many more states to come. After I get through with this article, now I see why there wasn't a topic of critical race theory mentioned. So I'm going to go ahead and read this article that's coming from The Hill. But first, the title reads, Asian Americans showed that critical race theory cannot be true. Now follow me here. Kenny Zhu, author and president of the advocacy group Color Us United, told Hill.tv that Asian Americans showed that critical race theory cannot be true. In discussing differences between Asian American and Black education achievement rates in the United States, Zhu said the experience and historical disadvantages in both communities were of similar magnitude. We always try to posit the worst victim narrative that we could, and you just did for Black Americans, but I could do the same for Asian Americans, said Zhu, an author of The Inconvenient Minority, The Attack of Asian American Excellence in the Fight for Meritocracy. He went on to say, now this is the part right here that made me want to do this video. He went on to say that racial discrimination in the United States is no longer an issue for Asian and Black Americans, and that we are not living in that history today. Excuse me, you speak for yourself. Don't speak for us. Do you see what this guy just did? He just automatically thought he could be the voice for both the Asian American community, which I'm fine with him doing because that's his community, but he thought he could be the voice for us as well. See, these are the people right here that we should definitely be checking. Not your big wigs that we see all the time. We got to go after these little people. Now, remember how I kept saying that it was a lot of Asian women that was doing attacks on Black people? Well, now we have found our first Asian male. Because I told people in my last video about them that they is mainly women, but don't be surprised if a man pops up. Well, here's one right here. Asian success was kept and was discriminated against in this country, but we're living in an era where that is no longer really the case. How, what's so crazy? Didn't I just do a video talking about if they took out standardized testing, 21% of the Asian American population would drop from these Ivy League schools? I wonder if he got the memo of that. And so you have to really focus on what cultural values are and how that forms the discourse. And Asian Americans prove that you really can advance and achieve the American dream. Zhu is head of Color Us United, a group founded in 2021. So it's not even a year old. It's just a few months old. With a mission of advocating for race blind in America. I can already tell that this is one of them I don't see color type of people. Just on that alone. In blogs on the Color Us United website, Zhu has advocated against observance of Juneteenth as a federal holiday and against ethnic studies curricula in California. Well, I will say this. Us as Black people did not ask for Juneteenth to be a federal holiday. I know I didn't ask for it to be a federal holiday because we already know what they about to do with it. However, isn't it amazing how he picked that day in particular to advocate against? He could have chose any other day, but that's the day he chose. What does Juneteenth have to do with him? Is the better question. In ethnic studies, basically Black studies. Zhu's remarks to Hill.tv on critical race theory come as numerous GOP-led states have taken action against critical race theories. At least 21 states this year have proposed legislation banning critical race theory in public schools. In other words, they don't want you learning about the true American history that goes on in this nation, aka the history of how Black people have been treated by you-know-who and their upcoming you-know-whos, such as people who identify as him. Like Harvey has said in plenty of his videos, it's one thing that we go after and call out the so-called dominant society. But you have to go after their little underlings too, like this guy right here. And I keep telling people they are getting besides themselves. Now I keep telling you, this is a group of people that quote unquote was feeling, discriminated against because of WOVID and all that last year. And I kept telling people once they got that thing on the books, they were going to become even more emboldened. They are now another enemy for us. But many of us have already seen them as an enemy. But now, because they have gotten even more of leverage, now it makes them even more blatant. Like, you heard what he said. He said that Asian Americans and black people, he managed to lump us together. That was a red flag for me right there. And then said, but he had more negative, notice he had more negative things to say about us in a subliminal way. I didn't see it as subliminal. It felt more overt than anything. He basically spoke down to us and from almost like an elitist tone. Well, Asian Americans and black Americans, they went through this, but the Asian American, they came over and they pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. Meanwhile, the black American, they were born here, they had opportunities, but they just didn't take them. That's what I heard. That's what I hear from him. And I don't like Juneteenth, and I'm against the ethnic studies in California. Basically something that benefits black people. And then said, what was that other part? We are not living in that history today when it comes to racial discrimination. That's the part right there that made me do this video, because I was reading it. I read the title. If I said the title is not enough, let me read a little bit ahead. And that part right there is where I stopped and made me want to cut on this mic and record this video. Like I said, like we've said, we have no friends. All we have is each other.